I want to ask you, I mean, because again, in addition to the research, I mean, you have if I say so, a really wonderful writing style. You know, it's clean, it's propulsive. There's a wonderful quote I read from someone that when you finish reading one of your books, you end up thinking briefly that you might be as clever as he is, you know.
Oh, that's very nice.
I thought that was a great line. I mean, do you work hard at this? I mean, I think things that look effortless often involve, especially when writing's concerned, a lot of work. I mean, is this...
Well, I pretend I don't work hard. That's the key thing. No, my mother is a writer, and a very beautiful writer, and I very consciously modeled my writing after hers from a very early age, and she is a great fan of clarity and simplicity. And that sort of was always drilled into me that there's no earthly reason to be complicated unless you absolutely have to be.
No.
This was a constant topic of conversation because we were living in Canada. We weren't Canadians. We were. My mother is Jamaican. My father is English, and we came to Canada when I was 6. And my parents' relationship to their new country was, in some sense, oppositional. So they loved nothing more than to point out ways in which Canadians failed to live up to their own standards. So, for example, my father's big thing about Canadians is that he was obsessed with the notion that they were lazy. And he would conduct experiments. So we lived, this is totally a tangent, but this is one of my favorite things my dad ever did. We lived on a highway. And so there was a series of houses, starting with ours, that stretched for a mile. And there was just the highway, and there's nothing behind, just farmland behind. So my father decided, and his theory was the Canadians were super lazy. They would never walk when they could drive. So what he did is he held a party once, and he invited everyone from our house all the way down to the end of the mile. And then we made bets on how many houses away would you have to be before you drove. And his whole thing was the only people who are going to walk are the people who are in the first house and the second house. Everyone else is driving. We were like, no. He won. They all drove. So that was like a huge moment. And for that night, I was like, oh, Canadians are so lazy. My mother's big thing is that Canadians were, she felt they were excessively wordy.
Huh.
And she was constantly harping on how they were, like, for example, to this day, if you use the phrase highest priority around my mother, it's the only thing that'll get her upset. It's the only, she'd be like, it's a priority. How can it be the highest of something that's already a priority? What is the matter with you? Like, calm down. My point is, this actually answers your question.
Yes.
So, 2 role models.
Yes.
One saying that laziness is the worst possible, sin, and the other saying wordiness is the most possible. So, what do you have? Someone who does endless rewrites of trying to simplify his writing. I am the perfect amalgam of my parents' 2 primary.
Well, it worked. It worked.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.